Welcome back, everybody, to His Heartbeat. We've got a really exciting adventure, and I am biased in saying that because I have my daughter on today. Hey, Joanna, how are you today?
I'm great. Very happy to be here. Happy to be back.
Yeah, the last time that I had you, it was 2 or 3 years ago. It's quite some time ago,
Wow.
2.5 to 3 years ago. So great to have you. Joanna, you can introduce yourself. She does not live at home. She moved out right
Mhm.
out of college and has stayed up in North Jersey. So you're a 3 hour drive for me, but we try to see each
Sorry.
other pretty often. And we talk a lot. So yeah, welcome, Joe. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yes, I am a massage therapist as well as a nutrition coach. And I work from a very holistic lens doing my nutritional therapy practice. I have my own LLC called Peace of Lavender, where I do mobile massage and I also do online coaching.
Awesome. Can you coach people outside of New Jersey? Do you know?
Yes, I can, but my full script supplement dispensary, I'm only doing in New Jersey.
Okay, but you can do the coaching. Good to know.
Coaching, no problem.
Well, Joanna is helping me as well. So, because of that, I knew that she has really a lot of great things to share and add, even from the last time, because you've gone through a lot of training, lots more experience. So, it's good to have you. And today, y'all, we're focusing on goals for health and physical health. So, last week, we talked about emotional goals. A few weeks right at New Year's, I think we talked about setting goals. And what I'm trying to do is get more of a holistic view of this. So that's why we're going to spend a couple weeks here on the physical goals because there's a lot of parts to our physical bodies that we need to work on and make sure are healthy. So, uh, you live in Jersey, you said, and you've been
hmm
uh, doing different things to help the health body for what, about 3, 4, 5 years, something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah, yeah. So that's awesome. And what motivated you to get into all this?
So I come from a missionary background, so I always knew I wanted to help people and bring some kind of healing to people. And I studied intercultural studies at Nyack College, and I thought I was going to launch out as a missionary and bring that spiritual healing. And I realized that I have a huge passion for the wellness field and preventative medicine and holistic care because we are not just spirit, we are a mind, body, and spirit. And everything is interconnected so incredibly. And I spent so much of my life looking at the emotional and the spiritual. And when I started diving into this physical, I just was set on fire. So I started as a licensed massage therapist, just learning the intricacies of the body. And then from there, I was realizing as I'm working with my clients, sometimes I knew there was a root underneath it that I couldn't get to in the physical outside of their body, and it was something physical inside their body. And I didn't have the grounds to speak on that. But now that I'm a certified nutritional therapist, I can help with that more holistic lens. But that's always been my heart is to be a healer. Like my grandma was a nurse, and my mom is a spiritual emotional healer, and I'm more of a physical healer as well. So,
Awesome. And you do a
yeah.
lot of emotional healing too. In your coaching, I really see that she integrates the whole person and spiritual as well. If you're Christian, she'll connect on that level. If not, still she'll connect. We all have a need to be connected to God. And people often will start in the understanding of a higher power, and then I hope can come to a place of seeing that we can really have a personal relationship with that higher power through Jesus Christ. So we're going to focus on the body.
hmm
And what Joanne and I kind of plotted this out before, but what she's going to hit on several topics to have to do with physical health. And then what we want you to do is to think about each of these things that she's going to be teaching us, and then focus in. That's where we're going to try to come to, is begin to focus in. If you try to deal with all these areas at once, you will fail. You want to take one at a time, and she'll help us to try to think through what would be the best way to focus, like where should we focus, right? So we'll get to that,
Mhm.
right? All right. So what are the 5 areas that we're going to cover? We're going to try to do some of them this week and some of them next week.
Yes, so we're gonna start with sleep, stress, and digestion. That might be just as far as we'll get this week. And
Okay.
then continue on with nutrient density. And I'm adding supplements into that,
Okay.
and blood sugar regulation as well. So
Okay.
we kind of have 6 different foundations that we're going to be talking about. Healthy habits. How can you have healthy habits in these ways? The thing, just like Sue said, I'd encourage you to be thinking about what is it that you want to focus on, not getting overwhelmed by everything, but just find that one foundation that's calling out to you, because so often in our lives there's a root that's a cause that's causing all these other cascading effects. And I'm going to kind of throw my boyfriend under the bus right now, because I know he wouldn't mind, maybe. So
Maybe. Uh-oh.
one for him, I've really seen, and I've been helping him just as his partner, but I've been working with him with his sleep, because sleep is that root thing for him that's causing, he's stressed out of his mind, because he's a teacher waking up at 6 a.m. and not getting enough sleep. So it's causing stress issues, causing digestive issues. He's not digesting optimally because of the lack of sleep. His blood sugar is dysregulated because he's not getting enough sleep. He's not making healthy food choices because he's not getting enough sleep. So he's reaching for the sugar and hyper palatable foods. So that's what I mean when I say think about that thing that, as I'm talking, maybe that's the root for you and you want to start there today. And then within that, I'm going to be listing a lot of things, kind of do's and don'ts. And if you could just pick a healthy habit that is calling out to you, just one or two, that's just a great place to start.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I know for me, when I started on this journey, which was sadly late in life, it's like you said, I focused so much on the spiritual and the emotional that I wasn't thinking about the body, almost to yeah, a dangerous level, like just so much like I just have to give, 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 to people. Not that I have to, but I want to give, give, give to others, that I wasn't really doing that self-care.
Mhm.
And there was a time in the church where we just didn't talk about that.
Yeah.
Self-care meant selfish care. I mean, it's really sad. We added an ISH to that, and that's just not true. We can't
Wow.
care for others if we're not taking care of ourselves. Even the scripture says, love others as you love yourself. So think about how you love others. Are you loving yourself at least that much? Or think about how you love yourself. Is that how little you're loving another? So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we really have to take that hand in hand, and we're all in different places at different times, right? When I first started getting involved with this, what was really focused on with my health coach was, what was I eating? I didn't know anything about what were really healthy things. Well, I can't say anything. I didn't eat junk food. I'd already cut back on sugar because of having had cancer in the past.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as knowing the value of nuts, of dark greens, of different types of vegetables, of different protein, all these kind of things I didn't know. So that was a really great journey and really helped me a lot to get energy and just overall health. Everything was
Mm-hmm.
coming together. But then I started hitting a sleep crisis because my time in life, really, and also because by then I'd already started a nonprofit, and it's so much work and so much stress, even though I
Mm-hmm.
love it, that I wasn't getting sleep. And so now lately I've been focusing a lot learning about sleep from coaching, and it's been wonderful, but it's been a journey. So I've kind of taken, like you said, one thing at a time. When I've
Hmm.
tried to do it all, when I had some coaching in the past where it's like, oh, do your supplements and do exercising and uh, make sure you're getting the right sleep. And here's what you can do for that. And I forget the other area, but it's just like, scuba,
Hmm.
too much. And so I've
Hmm.
learned that I have to just have one area at a time
Hmm.
until I develop some healthy habits, and then I can
Hmm.
venture into the next area.
Yeah, absolutely. I strongly agree with that, that it's a journey. And sometimes you're not even the way to help your physical is to be focusing on the emotional, or the spiritual. It all
True.
works together, right? Um, and similar to you, I've been on so many different parts in that journey of like having a very restrictive past in my relationship with food. So I went on a whole journey with that and seeing food as a superpower and something that can help me and heal me. Um, rather than something that was scary and I needed to restrict it. And then going on a whole journey with I have some not so severe, but I have circulatory condition issues. I have Raynaud's disease. So then going on a whole journey with that and how do I help to heal my circulation with the food that I eat and the lifestyle practices that I have. And now I'm on a whole journey as a massage therapist, trying to get stronger so that I can serve my clients better. So we just have different focuses at different parts. So you might listen to this podcast a year from now and have a completely different take on it.
Yeah, it's a good point. And even like stage of life, affects you.
Yeah.
If you just had a baby, oh, there's some serious changes. So I'm
Yeah.
I'm assuming, Joanna, that your counsel to women in different stages of life changes what you're focusing on and counseling them in. Is that true?
Absolutely. And that leads perfectly into the disclaimer that I have for this entire episode and the next, and that is bioindividuality. Every body is different. There isn't a manual, there isn't a one size fits all. So everything that I'm giving is a generalized suggestion. And so
Hmm.
A, I want you to go and do your own personal research. And B, I want you to always speak with your healthcare team before you're implementing any change, whether it's lifestyle, supplement, or food.
Yeah, that's good. And a lot of people I know earlier when we talked, you were going to say talk to your family practitioner, which is definitely a good idea. And they do some basic tests, but some of them, many of them, unfortunately, are not very knowledgeable often about functional medicine and about supplements and nutrition. So keep that in mind, because I know when I went into my doctor and she's like, wow, you lost a lot of weight. And she gets worried, right? You would. That's good to check on that. And I
Mhm.
said, no, it's because I've changed my diet a lot. Oh, well, what have you changed it to? And I said, well, I'm telling her I took a food sensitivity test and I'm being careful of certain foods, and I started supplements, and she got all worried and she's like, what supplements? And I said, well, there's quite a few. And I start listing them all off, and she was getting more worried with everyone that I
Oh
added.
no.
Yeah, and it's like she knew nothing about it. In fact, what she said is, I just really caution you from that. You can like be taking get too much of iron in you or too much of this. And I said, no, no, I know, but I have a coach to help me with that. And she's like, well, okay. So I
Yeah.
do always run everything by my family practitioner. I think it's really
Hmm.
wise. And they're thinking about disease, right? So, and they're very
Hmm.
knowledgeable of disease, and they're going to look at
Hmm.
certain your blood tests and things like that, and your pulse and whatnot. So that's important. But a health coach like yourself, Joanna, a nutritionist, nutritional coach, or I don't know, there's probably other names for these things, but um, they have insight, especially into the kinds and balance and levels of different like vitamins in your and herbal supplements and things like that can really help you.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, and I understand where that nurse was coming from. You have to have a balance, right? Because you shouldn't say, oh, it could have a bad effect. Let's not take any supplements. But she has, she's speaking truth there that you can have too much of certain things and you can
Hmm.
have two things that interact with one another. You might be taking a medication for your ulcerative colitis, and then you really shouldn't be taking this supplement, or you have severe depletion, so you should be taking this supplement. And that's why we want you to be consulting your team and working with professionals before any of these changes. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good point. If you're taking any kind of medications, that's going to have an impact on the kind of supplements that you should or should
Hmm.
not take.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think? Sorry, I'm diving into a few things before we get on this topic, but it's along the same lines of what we're talking about. I see a lot of people that they see a commercial and it'll say things like, oh, you should take black seed oil. Oh, you should take collagen. Oh, you should like that. And immediately they're just going out and buying these things and throwing it into their bodies or ashwagandha or whatever. What do
Mhm.
you think of that? Like when we look at magazines and oh, we all should be on B vitamins and we all should be on this and we all should be on that without seeing uh, a nutrition counselor or some kind of person that's trained and knowledgeable in these areas.
Mhm. I mean, I think it's always best to be working with someone, especially if you have a lot of underlying conditions, you're taking a lot of medications, you have some kinds of diseases. Highly recommend working with someone or always talking to your doctor before implementing them. But yeah, we have so many of these healthcare trends, right? I jumped on the ashwagandha train, and I'm not usually swayed by stuff like that. But it was calling out to me, and I'm like, I think at that point I was in a stressful time in life, and I was like, I want to try this herbal supplement. So I went and I researched it very thoroughly. And okay, does this interact with anything else that I'm taking? Does it affect any of the conditions that I have? And I researched it a lot, and then I looked into the brands, and I looked for something that was reputable and wasn't just some kind of knockoff thing or had anything harmful in it. And then I purchased it. So I always recommend, there's a reason why it's such a big trend, right? Like right now is like collagen peptides are everywhere and everyone wants to put collagen peptides in their coffee. So I've been thinking about it for a while and I'm doing my own research, but at the time that I first saw it, I'm like, this doesn't really, oh, everyone needs this, but this doesn't really align with where I'm at in my healthcare journey, and my journey. And now
Mm.
I'm at a place where I'm really trying to work out more and do strength training and a lot of cardio. And I'm like, no, now I do want those collagen peptides to be helping with my energy levels and muscle building, etc. So I'm like, okay, I'll take that in, but first doing a lot of research, and speaking with other, healthcare people about it. So that's what I'd
Well,
say.
that's the thing. You do a lot of the research. So if you're not going to have somebody to come alongside a coach, and I realize coaching can be expensive.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
Joanna has very reasonable prices. We can talk about that at the end if you're interested in coach. But um, yeah, I think I understand that. Some people just can't, but then make sure that you research thoroughly before you,
Hmm.
and you can do it online, before you
Yeah.
throw something into your body. And you
Hmm.
always can go to your regular doctor and talk to her or him as
Hmm.
well.
Hmm.
All right, well, let's dive in. What's the first topic that we're going to get into?
First one, let's talk about sleep, which I know is
Oh,
near and dear to your heart.
yes, it is.
So I've got some do's and don'ts for you. Actually, a lot of do's about, actually a lot of don'ts about forming healthy habits around your sleep. The first one is be careful about eating too close to bed. I know
Mm,
sometimes it's hard eating a heavy meal before bed, because we get home late, etc. But having especially sugar and carbs before bed can
mm.
cause a blood sugar spike, and it can make it really hard for you to get sleepy.
So what's the amount of time that we should have between our last food and when we go to bed?
3 hours if you can, I'd say,
Okay. Yeah,
if
I've heard three.
possible.
3 is great at
Yeah.
maximum, minimum, whatever that is, whichever way,
Mhm.
two
Yeah.
hours.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And how about snacking? Like people, I know, like your dad, he's an example where
Mhm.
we'll eat, say, at, 7:30, something like that. And then, but it's true, he goes to bed even later than me. So let's say he goes to bed at 12, but he'll be eating a snack sometimes at 11. So it's
Mhm.
not a meal. What about
Mhm.
like crackers and cheese before you go to bed or,
Mhm.
that kind of thing? What do you think?
Yeah, there's a sweet spot where you don't want to be too hungry before bed because if it's been so long since you ate and you're hungry, it's actually going to make it very difficult for you to sleep.
Mm,
So if you are genuinely feeling so hungry, then I'd say reach for something that's higher in the protein and healthy fat range. So
okay.
hard-boiled egg, a piece of meat, a handful of nuts,
Not butters. Yeah.
nut
Okay.
butters, you know, just being careful with the sugar. Even if you're having yogurt, nothing high in sugar that's gonna keep you awake. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So the key is not to get riled up, right? So that you don't want to spike your blood sugar and you don't want to spike your cortisol. So doing things like rigorous physical activity to get your heart rate up and get your cortisol, your stress hormone going. Watching a show that's like a thriller show. I've been victim of this. And your heart is just racing because the zombies are coming and then you just yeah. So
So that's
cortisol,
bad.
that's bad. The
Okay.
cortisol inhibits the melatonin secretion in your brain. The melatonin,
Mhm.
as a lot of us know, is a hormone that makes you feel sleepy. Another huge culprit is blue light.
Mm,
So we don't want that cold blue light in our eyes before we sleep. We want warm lights around in our house. We want dim lights around in our house. We want things that are blocking out the sunlight from coming into our bedroom, so that we're sleeping in complete darkness. If you shouldn't see your hand in front of your face, and if you can, it's a problem. Not getting as deep of sleep. And then the blue light from our screens are killing us. We really
okay.
need to um, be avoiding screens in those last couple hours before bed, if at all possible. If you're like, I can't sleep without my British baking show, please wear blue light blocking glasses. I highly don't recommend it, but putting on those glasses to do what you can, or on your screen, putting those dimming there's lots of things that we have on our phones now to make it warmer, to make it dimmer, etc. On your Kindle, you can use special things to have a dark background, so you're less stimulated. But even during the day,
Mm,
the light comes in to your eyeballs, and your pineal gland is a part in your brain that's producing the melatonin, and the blue light is just shining in there all day and it's suppressing it. So I was just telling my boyfriend, please buy your blue light glasses for work because he's a teacher in video production on a screen all day.
mm,
So that's
mm.
affecting him and it's affecting his melatonin production. So even at daytime, please wear your blue light blocking glasses. Yeah.
So melatonin is what helps you to fall asleep or not
Yeah, it's
necessarily?
that. Yes, it's that makes you feel sleepy hormone. So around our natural sleep rhythm, our circadian rhythm, it's that internal clock. According to that, the around 10 between 10 and 11 is when our body naturally will start to secrete the melatonin. It should, if things are going properly. And also to make you feel sleepy and also drop your body temperature. Your body temperature has to drop a little bit for you to feel sleepy, which is another note that I have. A lot of people are trying to sleep in conditions that are too warm.
Mm,
And if your body temperature has to drop, um, you actually should aim for 65 to 68 degrees Fahrenheit, for a room temperature.
okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes I love hot showers and
Hmm.
I take them pretty much right before I go to bed. I may have a few more steps before I get in bed, but
Hmm.
it can make my body really, really hot. So as you're saying
Hmm.
that, I know my health coach has talked about at the end of your shower, make it colder.
Yeah.
And he even says kind of the really cold, like the
You
ice
can handle it.
diving kind of thing if you can handle it. But
Yeah.
so maybe cool it down a little. Is that something you've heard about?
Yeah, that can be helpful for sure.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah. Another huge key is having a nighttime routine that you enjoy, something that's not highly stimulating, like having an Epsom salt bath, having a routine of reading your book, talking with your partner, listening to a podcast, and then trying to go to sleep at the same time. So having a routine that's comforting to you and regular for you, and a time that's regular for you, and even more importantly, waking up at the same time is so key to getting on that rhythm. For anyone who's having trouble sleeping, I'd recommend even on the weekend, it's common, oh, I'll let myself sleep, no alarm, and you wake up at 9, and that's disrupting a rhythm that you've got going. So even if you're on the weekend still waking up at whatever time it is, 7 every time. Yeah.
Okay. And
Consistency.
I've heard people say, well, I was taking melatonin, but it
Hmm.
doesn't put me to sleep, or it used to help, it doesn't help anymore.
Hmm.
So what is the function of melatonin pills? Is that going, because what I've from what you were saying,
Uh-huh.
it helps your circadian rhythm. So that's different than a sleeping pill that just knocks you out, right?
Hmm.
So it's more of something to help your body make more permanent adjustments, right? To like get your body to know that it's nighttime, basically. It's not
Hmm.
necessarily
Hmm.
putting you to sleep, but it's
Yeah.
just teaching you.
Yeah, I'd
Okay.
say melatonin is a temporary aid to get you to where you need to be.
Okay.
Like if you're traveling and you
Mm.
go, for me, if I go to China, to my hometown, and I don't know if it's morning or night, and my body has no idea, I can say, okay, it's nighttime. Here's some melatonin. This is your new nighttime. And
Okay.
that's helpful temporarily. But there's not such deleterious effects of long-term use of melatonin,
Mm.
except I'd say that you can grow in a dependence on it and you're relying on that instead of relying on the secretions of your own brain.
Mm.
You should be relying on your own brain to produce enough melatonin. And if you're just pumping the pills every night, there is something to be said about that. But I'd also question, what is the root cause?
Yeah.
I'm having my I keep using my boyfriend, but um I'm having him start to take some kind of a sleep peptide that's getting more to the root of the problem and helping, because for him it's a cortisol spike. He has a anxiety spike. And we don't just want to put things on top of it that knock him out. We
Right.
want to get to the root to balance how the hormones are supposed to be, get the cortisol down, and you can naturally get your melatonin up. So I'd ask, what is the root of the problem? You might find it's temperature, you might find it's anxiety, you might find it's that you have no routine schedule. You might find that it's having a glass of wine at night that's actually waking
Mm.
you up after making you feel drowsy initially, but it's waking you up throughout the night. You might find that you're drinking water too close to bed,
Mm.
and you just are waking up to pee and can't get back to bed. So I'd be, yeah, look, often we put melatonin on it as a quick fix, but I'd look at your whole lifestyle and having all the healthy habits before bed and not just putting a band-aid, you know?
Yeah, that's really good. I mean, I've now identified like 5 different reasons why I can't fall asleep.
Yeah.
And even some that are like ridiculous. Like I learned, oh, if you eat 90% cocoa chocolate, if I'm saying that
Hmm.
right, then it's good for you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like eating it as a dessert at dinner and wondering why I can't fall
No.
asleep. And there's so
Might as
much
well have an
caffeine in it.
espresso.
I know. So, so that was one. Another, I used to drink 2 cups of coffee religiously every
Yeah.
morning. Okay. So, let's see how many, 12, 24 ounces, 12 ounces, 12 ounces. And so more recently, I cut out one of them.
Hmm.
And it's made a big difference.
That's
So I
good.
thought I was okay with 2 because some nights I would fall asleep, right? And so I thought, oh, it must not be the coffee, but it's definitely helping me to do 1.
Yeah. Can I add a
Also,
quick
yeah, go
note
ahead.
on that?
Yeah.
Caffeine has a half-life of 5 to 7 hours. And what that means is 50% of it will be most likely, getting out of your system within 5 to 7 hours. And that's half of it. So you still have half
Mhm.
of that caffeine,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Within your
Yeah.
system. And that doesn't even account for when, as you age, your ability to metabolize caffeine decreases. And some
Yeah.
people are like me and are lightweights with caffeine. I am so affected. I get so jittery. If I drink it past 12, I'll be up until 12. Like
Yeah.
I get very affected. So knowing yourself and really being realistic, like, is this caffeine affecting me? Even if you're having decaf, there's still caffeine
Yeah.
in it, being careful. Yeah.
And then there's people like my father. He could drink literally coffee right before he went to bed when he was
Crazy.
94 years old. So it just varies. And for those of you who are listening and you're young, I mean, I used to be able to drink 8 cups of coffee in a day until I found out it was really bad for you. But it didn't affect my sleep at all in my
I'd have a heart
20s.
attack.
So yeah, similar to what I had, but
Yeah,
eventually.
fair enough.
Yeah, so I think elimination's helpful, like
Hmm.
as in trying, cut out
Hmm.
something and then record. I started a sleep log and I'm just marking down every morning what time I went to bed, what time I got up, if I woke up in the middle of the night, so how much total sleep. And then if I had an inkling of why, I would
Hmm.
mark next to it.
Hmm.
So I might have said, oh, talked about money. That's another thing I learned. There's certain topics I cannot talk about at night and fall
Hmm.
asleep. If I'm going to have any kind of argument with anybody, forget it. I won't be able to fall asleep.
Hmm.
But
Same.
I think just having that more chill, like you said, turning down lights, doing
Hmm.
relaxing things. I know some of you moms out there are like, yeah, right. I mean, I remember when you guys
Hmm.
were in high school, you come home from school, you come home from sports, and you just eat, and then you go do homework, and we don't even talk. If we ask you how your days was, you're like, it was okay. But then you go to your room. But for some reason, teenagers at 10:30 at night suddenly become emotionally connected to their family. And that's when they want to come in your room and talk to you about all their problems. So uh, Todd and I used to talk like, oh gosh. Or so I wonder what problem is going to be in a few minutes because it'd be like 10:15, you know. So you have to make those adjustments. So for us, we had to just find other ways, to deal with that. So we were
Yeah.
usually in bed by the time you get that. That's one thing that kind of helped. But
Yeah.
okay. So
All right. That's all
anything
I've
else
got
in
for
sleep?
sleep.
All right,
Yeah.
let's go on to the next
Ready for
topic.
stress?
No, I'm not ready for stress. That's the
Fun topic.
problem.
I just want to start out by saying that none of these healthy habits are a substitute for therapy. And I always recommend therapy can't hurt for anyone. Working with a professional is always a good idea. Um, that being said, let's talk about the vagus nerve. This is such a
Okay.
hot topic in the wellness field right now. Talking about our parasympathetic, which is our rest and digest, and our fight or our sympathetic, which is our fight or flight. And nowadays, we're so overstimulated constantly and anxious that we have become locked into that sympathetic state, into that
Mm.
fight or flight state. So it's so important to talk about stress and managing your stress and finding simple things that we can do to help flip off that switch and rewire our nervous system and calm down our nervous system with these simple little hacks and practices and rhythms. And one of the main ways is by tapping into your vagus nerve. So this is a longest nerve in your body. It goes all the way down. It innervates so many different parts of your body that there's so many interesting ways that you can help to activate it, even through getting massage. There's self massages that you can do to activate it. You can find a lot of videos on YouTube about things that you can do to reset or tone your vagus nerve. There's even apps nowadays like Leaply. Leaply is a whole app designed with ideas and exercises to help reset your vagus nerve. There are simple things like humming because it innervates down here. So you're humming and it's vibrating and it's activating the vagus nerve. It's so funny because a secret, I'll tell you all a secret. When I feel awkward, even if I think about an awkward experience from high school when I couldn't understand what that boy was saying that I liked and had a crush on, and I kept asking, what? If I think about that awkward moment, I
Yeah.
start humming. I'm
Huh.
just humming. And I'll snap out of the flashback and I'll be like, why am I humming? And it's such a natural instinct
Huh.
when I feel stressed to self-soothe by humming and activating the vagus nerve. It's so interesting.
Yeah,
Anyways,
that's weird you said that because
yeah.
today I was driving home from my meeting and it is a particularly busy, crazy day starting at 8 a.m.
Uh-huh.
nonstop and continuing till 9 tonight. And I got in the car and immediately I just, the news came on. I just turned it off right away as a podcast news. And then without thinking, I'm like, humming and not realizing it. It's like this Christian song. I'm kind of singing, but kind of humming, you know. I'm more like
Mhm.
kind of quietly singing. Does that have the same effect? I don't know. But and then I realized, oh man, I keep singing this song. I caught myself yesterday singing that too. Not like oh singing, but like
Mhm.
oh, he loves me so. It's kind of like a
Mhm.
vibrating
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. Does that
Mhm.
count?
I think that counts.
Okay.
I think that counts. You're still getting that stimulation and the vibration. Humming is just a lot deeper vibrate, like more vibration, but
Okay.
I believe singing can do that, especially your beautiful vibrato can do that.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, but again, I'm just saying because I didn't think about it. So, but
Yeah, there
but
is
that
definitely a
is
connection.
interesting.
We're
Okay.
self-soothing. We're self-soothing without even knowing it. It's so
Mm,
incredible how the body works. It also innervates through the abdomen. So your deep belly breaths, where you're not pushing up your shoulders, but you're expanding in your abdomen and filling your abdomen with breath. Those can help to activate the vagus nerve.
okay. Can you
And
stop a sec on that? Because I remember I first started getting coaching and my coach was like, okay, breathe in deep. And I like filled up my lungs, right? Because when you go to the doctor office, that's what they want you to do. And she
Mhm.
goes, no, no, try to make that air go into your abdomen. And I'm like, oh. And so you should literally see your belly pushing out, not your
Mhm.
chest.
Yeah.
And um is that there's something about that, huh? That's more help even more helpful for what you're talking about, reducing stress.
Yeah, I mean it's getting full breaths. So I mean as a massage therapist, I can feel physically in people's scalenes and their interior neck how much we hold our breath when we're stressed. And sometimes we go years without taking such a cleansing, life-giving full breath. It's funny, as you were saying that, I was picturing my high school drama class and Nathan Green having us lay on the floor and filling our abdomen with
Yeah.
air like a balloon. And we would lay on the floor so that and look down so you could see your belly rising and put your hands on your belly. And
Yeah.
he said, imagine it expanding like a balloon. And that's a full breath. That's a cleansing breath that we need to live.
And is it best to breathe it through your nose and out through your
Out your
mouth?
mouth.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Got it.
Another great trick, as we were talking about cold showers, is a great thing for resetting your nervous system. And it's while you're doing the cold shower, your body is like fight or flight, but you take deep breaths and you tell yourself, but I'm okay. And you're training yourself to stay calm under that. And you're
And you
working
don't have to do it the whole
resilience.
15 minutes. You can, yeah, my
No,
coach is like,
you
you
can
can do
ease
it for a
into it.
minute. Yeah.
Finish your shower with 1 minute of that. I
Hmm.
can't always do that because of my circulatory issues. So there's other
Mm.
simple things that I can do, like running cold water down my neck, or putting an ice pack on my neck, or just my hands because there are always ice packs. Putting them.
True.
But that can be really helpful. So let's talk about some other things besides just the vagus nerve. Some other great things that you can do to form healthy habits are taking walks to manage your stress. There's so much there. We need to be moving. We need to be outside more. in nature and something about connecting with nature. We were built to be in nature, not to be inside of cement, concrete buildings. So something about being in nature is so grounding for us, and we're producing more endorphins, more serotonin by connecting with that part of us as a human. And sunlight. We need sunlight. It provides us a nutrient that we're almost all lacking in, and that's D3 from the sun. And it's also very important because we need D3 in order to produce serotonin, which is our feel-good hormone. It's a necessary component in synthesizing serotonin. So that is also why if you are inside all the time in the winter and not getting any sunlight, you can start to feel seasonal depression very easily. It's one of the contributing factors. So, recommend taking walks in nature. I
And if
also,
you don't have
oh,
nature, right, if you're in the city, many cities will just have a place that you can go, like a
uh-huh,
little park or some kind of indoor place, but that has a bunch of plants and flowers and that kind of thing.
mhm,
So you can find things even if you're in a
mhm.
city that can help with that.
Yeah, whatever you can. Yeah. Another great habit for managing stress is meditation. And I just want to say this statement that stress comes from our external circumstances. Anxiety comes from our internal um it's our own minds making up all these what if hypothetical scenarios that take us out of our present. And that's why
Mhm.
meditation is so powerful for managing anxiety because it takes you out of all of the hypothetical what if panicking and it
Future.
brings you back to the present. Yeah, takes you out of the future and into the present, into your body, into your mind, and you learn how to have that skill of reeling it in. So the next time you start spiraling out like that, you are training yourself, you're toning your mind and how to reel in your thoughts and to sit in your body and be safe and to sit in your mind and be still. And this is a really hard thing to do. It takes a lot of grace and patience with yourself as your mind is a crazy monkey of thoughts when you first try doing this. But nowadays, there's so many accessible things like apps that we can use to help with
Yeah.
this. There's things on YouTube, there's podcasts on Spotify or wherever. The apps that I have heard of and used and are familiar with are Calm, Insight Timer, Headspace, and there's a Christian one called Clarity. So these can be really helpful tools to get started.
Yeah, that's good. So,
Yeah.
it's not like you're emptying your mind of nothing, but you're
Mhm.
more, that's why breathing can be helpful because you're thinking about your breath.
Mhm.
But even these like calm, I have that, and I like to listen to the stories in it. But
Mhm.
what it's doing is it's getting you to stop thinking about all your problems, and you're thinking about the Legend of Sleepy Hollow or something.
Yeah.
That's why I think reading, I have to be careful what I read, like you said, not the thriller, but also I used to read just nonfiction, kind of instructional, but in a
Mhm.
way that's keeping me in the present. So I've been reading more fiction books that they're not like scary or depressing, but they're enjoyable, and it's
Mhm.
really helped my sleep. I can't believe
Mhm.
just the last half hour before I go to bed.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
love that. I
Hmm.
that segues perfectly into my next point, with just engaging in that creative side of your brain. So reading something fun, fantasy, writing, playing music, engaging in art, even creative cooking or interior design around your house or dance. These are all engaging in that creative free flow in your mind. I think nowadays we're all so overstimulated and minute to minute busy that we don't leave enough room for boredom. And boredom is such a wonderful, beautiful thing that I miss so much. And it allows for the creative side of your brain to run wild and free. And I think we need to, if you need to schedule in time to be creative and to be bored, do it because I think it's so important for our mental health.
Yeah, journaling is
Mhm.
helpful. You said about
Yes.
writing, but just
Yes.
journaling out. I wouldn't
Yeah.
say do that necessarily before you go to bed. Um, it can be good for me in the morning to just,
Hmm.
or yeah, maybe it could be, I wouldn't say before I go to bed, but right after dinner or something, because you can just kind of get everything out there on the paper that you were
Hmm.
concerned about and then tell
Hmm.
yourself to leave it there. I think I
Hmm.
had that in another podcast. That's what she said. I like how
Yeah,
she
it's
said
good.
that. She's like, you're not writing it all out and then go and do it. You're
Hmm.
writing it all out. And then you said, okay, that I think this woman, she tells herself, okay, I'm going to allot 20 minutes each day
Hmm.
to dump my bucket list, and then I'm going to leave it there. And
Hmm.
if it comes up, I go, nope, it's not 7:40. Nope, can't go there. I
Hmm.
thought that was pretty clever.
Yeah, that's great. I actually personally do recommend journaling before bed for people who are struggling with anxiety, just because
Okay.
sometimes the thoughts have nowhere to go. So journaling or speaking with your partner or calling up a friend and getting it out somewhere so it's not just bouncing around in your head can be actually very helpful with people who have anxiety-induced insomnia. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Which leads to my next point. We are communal creatures. And I think nowadays with social media, we think that we're hyper connected, and we're not. And it gives us just enough of a hit that we think, oh, yeah, I'm connecting and this is wonderful. But we're not getting that oxytocin that we were designed to get from physically connecting and being with another human being. So just be mindful of that,
What does
making sure.
oxytocin do?
It's the bonding, human bonding hormone. So,
Uh-huh.
think about your mom holding the baby and you're bonding during that experience and you're both producing that oxytocin. When you're cuddling with your partner, you're producing that oxytocin. When you're hugging or sitting next to one another, you're producing that oxytocin. It's not only the physical contact, but it's, literally being present with somebody. And it does not come through alone just getting 1,000 likes on your
Hmm.
your social media post.
Okay.
Um, Something else I wanted to mention is decluttering your environment is really key for stress. I heard once that a cluttered environment can have the equivalent psychological impact of multiple people screaming in your face at once.
Wow.
It's like the same intensity as how it can manifest in your brain. So don't underestimate what good it could do for your mental and emotional well-being and your physical well-being of decluttering, because when we have a lot of stuff around, there's a lot of buildup of dust and mold and all these things that can be also negative for your physical well-being.
And and depending on what that is, I'm just thinking about in my office, I have a bed. There's also a
Hmm.
bed. I don't use it for that. I use it like a table, and I have all my like to-dos
Hmm.
just kind
Hmm.
of thrown on there and receipts and this and that. And so when you said that, it's like, oh, well, this little piece of paper screaming at me to edit, this document, and this one's screaming at me to set up an appointment, and this one's screaming at me to go to the bank, and this one.
Yep.
So
Yep.
I know at times where I take the time to stop and organize that and put it in folders and whatnot and get it kind of neat, then I feel more relaxed.
Yeah.
Same with your home when you can put, I mean,
Hmm.
one trick that I learned, I guess, growing up was you use it, you clean it up, or you use it, you put it
Hmm.
away.
As you
So
go.
before, as you go. So when you
Hmm.
guys, I don't know if you remember that, but if you played with a toy, you
Hmm.
weren't supposed to just keep pulling out other toys. Sometimes you
Hmm.
did that, but yeah, I
Sometimes I
think
still do that.
we would be like, okay, put that one away and then get the other one out. And,
Yeah.
our toys today are like, different things that you started working on and then you just leave it there on the
Uh-huh.
table. But then it's always staring at you, you know.
Hmm.
All right, we have to wrap up this
Yeah.
section.
hmm I
And
have,
then yeah, you can wrap this section and we're going to continue next week into the
mhm.
next topics. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, next week we can do digestion, blood sugar regulation, and then nutrient density, which includes
Okay.
supplements. But yeah, my last note on our stress topic
Stress.
is something I'm very passionate about, which is how how addicted we are to dopamine.
Mm,
We live in a dopamine nation, which, by the way, is one of my favorite books, Dopamine Nation: Finding Balance in the Age of Indulgence. It's by
mm,
Anna Lemke. Um, Brilliant book, and it's all about how everything nowadays is instant gratification, and our threshold for wanting things is becoming higher and higher, and our feeling of reward and satisfaction and gratitude is lower and lower, leading to stress, leading to depression. So I just my last healthy habit for you, and you might resonate deeply with this, is in this year really setting those boundaries to have healthy, gentle, consistent, low dopamine but rewarding activities like we've been talking about: going on walks, connecting with friends, journaling, reading a book, and being really careful about overindulgence in things that are like high dopamine, hyper palatable foods that are so sugary and so salty, scrolling on social media, clicking all over Amazon and buying everything you see, nicotine, alcohol, excessive video games, gambling, even working out, sex, exercise, these can all become dopamine addictions for us. So I would just really warn you to take a look at your life and really assess what are those high dopamine things and what boundaries can I put up to replace those with healthy, gentle, consistent, low dopamine activities.
okay. That's great.
Yeah.
All right. Well, in case they can't come on next week and
Yeah.
they're interested to have a first interview with you to check out about your coaching to
hmm
coach them, how would they get a hold of you?
Yeah, so my website is
Peace is
peaceoflavender.com.
spelled Peace.
Peace. Yep, like
Okay.
peace out, man. So peaceoflavender.com. My email is all over there. So you can email me directly or fill out a form on there to give a little message about what you're inquiring about. And I would love to schedule a call with you, free consultation call, just to talk about, what are you looking for? If you're in the area, I'd love to give you a massage. But right now I'm offering one-on-one coaching. So I'm doing a 12-week program where we're talking about all this stuff and how to tailor recommendations in all these areas after doing a very, very thorough intake about what's going on in your health. Yeah.
All right. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll be back on next week. Thank you so much, Joanna. Why, before you shut down, I just want to challenge you to think about the sleep areas and the stress areas. And
hmm
is there one takeaway that you can apply in each one of those areas? Okay.
hmm
So you can re-listen to this and, share it with others that are just really trying to get healthier. Yeah, I just encourage you to do that. And we'll see you, Joanna, and all of you guys next week. Thank you for joining us today. Have a great week.